What's up, guys? Happy New Year. Welcome back. Ryan Schultz from E39Source here from Escondido, California. We're going to do a little special on this car. This is my client's 2001 E39 M5, finished in Silverstone metallic. Very similar spec to my car over there. And this was a walk-in guy. He came in about a week ago, said he found us on YouTube and wanted to check out the shop and meet us and kind of see what we're about. And decided to put his car through our Mpi process, which is a 90 and growing point inspection of every single system in, on, under, and around the car. You name it, we inspect it and provide a full write-up and somewhere between a 1 and 40-page report on anything that isn't right. That includes missing or incorrect fasteners, foggy headlights, cracked fog lights, faded paint, torn leather, brakes, mechanical systems, cosmetics, everything. And from there, we identified that this car is a bit overdue for some maintenance. It's had some deferred maintenance. And thankfully, he decided to proceed with a lot of the things that we proposed. So here it is. This is kind of a baseline on day one. We've just gotten the wheels removed. We're about to tackle the brakes. The wheels are over here, and they are the genuine original BMW style 65s. You can tell they're original. They've got a little bubble here. Everything just looks right. I've been around these wheels for 11 years. Finish isn't terrible, certainly seen a lot worse, but they've got some normal curbing. And what happens is this wheel starts to, the finish starts to fail, is this light hand-applied, actually, coating of hyper silver paint will start to flake off. And then on the other side of that paint is the base layer of black powder coat. So that's what we're just starting to see here, where I assume a curb or a very poor tire mounter has chipped off some of that original paint. So they're going off to get refinished, and they will look as close to new as they reasonably can. When they come back, he's got the right tires on here, Michelin Pilot Sport 4S, quite new, correct size, no debris in any of those tires, so we'll be reusing those. But we're going to tackle rear brakes and front brakes, and the parts box is just starting. It's going to be a very comprehensive job. But as I said, I just wanted to get a kind of a baseline, the original 2001 headlights. This is actually month number 1 of the facelift. This car was produced October of 2000, so that makes it a early 01. It needs a hood roundel. We didn't take that off. One of the grills fell out on the way here. We'll get a look under the hood, and it's all here. This is all an original car, a stock car, just a little bit dirty and in need of some TLC, which it is going to be getting. We'll take a better look inside to see that it is the 05 SS interior. That means the extended leather, not to be confused with full leather. So we've got vinyl on the upper door panels here. Silverstone interior, just like mine. This is about a 1 of 135 car, Silverstone on Silverstone, same as mine. This one has the sunshades. And the rear one, the arms and the motor work, but the actual cloth or fabric material that's supposed to come up has come detached from those arms. And BMW does not offer a solution to that, though AGA Tools does. They're also located here in San Diego, in Escondido, California, and they make a 6061, I believe, aluminum hinge that slides into the track, and we can actually replace that, just that component, for about 1/5 the cost of replacing the entire sunshade unit from BMW. Unsurprisingly, we've got one of these not retracting back here. That's a real common thing. I'm shocked to see the price on these things now. It's well over $500. Side windows seem to work fine. They're much more stout. Maybe not retracting all the way, but we'll get a look at that. And that rear one actually works just fine. Move on up to the front, and we'll see he's got the M5 floor mats in there. The Silverstone seat has certainly seen some better days. This is something that I would sublet. We don't do leather work here, but there's plenty of places here in San Diego that would or do. Shift knob is clearly the original 2001 130,000 mile shifter. It had this thing replaced under warranty. Some of the early 01s still came with that aluminum handle that just flaked apart. My M5 came with the aluminum shifter and handle from factory, and they've both been replaced now to this stuff. We're going to do the center console tray, the handle, get that leather cleaned up, replace the cubby. He did decline the vent. It's one of the only items declined on there, so it's got a little crack down there in the corner. And then we've got the usual pixel issues up here. That's another sublet for us, but we get those back in about a week. That's 130,245 miles. So lots of mechanical and cosmetic restoration to come. Not a whole lot of DIYs in here, but just thought it'd be kind of fun to watch this car get nearly completely restored. This is what's left of the pork chop fender liner up here. I can only imagine the noise that's been making. So we're going to be replacing both of those, the engine pan, transmission pan. I think he greenlit those as well. So lots and lots of room for improvement. Front control arms we're going to do. Let me run this thing up. I'll show you a few issues under the car. Okay, we're going to start at the back. Come on under the car. We'll see it's got the original muffler still installed. One of the first things we noticed, we grabbed the wheel and started moving the wheel carrier around. And I'm not going to be able to do it with just one hand here, but these ball joints in the back have a ton of play. We've also got big tears in the bushings up in here, so we're going to be replacing these H-arms as well as the rear ball joints. In addition to that, we can try and peek the camera up there and see that those guide link bushings are completely destroyed. However, the wishbones, somebody tended to the wishbones. So nice wishbone, very bad guide link. Same's true on both sides. And then, you know, customer states a bit of a clunk. Pretty sure we found that. This is actually a common issue. These factory mounts are not very strong and they snap right off the subframe. And this one's been replaced before. We can see because of the part number sticker. And that one has been too. We can come up here at an odd angle around the battery box and see the crack in that top subframe mounts right there at 11:30 and over to 2 o'clock or so. At 3 o'clock, we see the date code 2000. So that's an original mount back there for the diff. Same thing on the passenger side. And then the front one, I'm a big proponent of the unicorn egg from Jed up at Einhorn Industries in Orange County. So we're going to be pressing that one out and we'll put the solid aluminum mount in there. What happens is this mount breaks down over time and then all the torque coming back into the rear end here just jackhammers the hell out of this mount on the subframe. And this mount is known to fail at the welds and just snap off the subframe. So putting the aluminum mount in there, yes, does translate or transmit 1% of some NVH maybe into the cabin, but you truly don't notice it. And then that's going to be a lifetime part, so you never have to do that again. We move up, we can see the exhaust mounts here are red, indicating that they're original. All the replacements have been black, at least in the last 15 years or so. Then we take a look at the CV joint on the drive shaft. We see a red boot in there as well. It's pretty wet, so that's going to get replaced. We're going to rebuild the whole shifter. It's got a real sloppy shifter right now, lots of play in the carrier bushings. So we'll get to that. Looks like someone's done the the flex disc before, so we won't be doing that, but we will certainly be doing the center support bearing, which fortunately you can't inspect. The best way to listen to that is roll the windows down and slowly move the car from 0 to 3 miles an hour in both first and reverse and listen for a little clinking sound coming from the middle of the car, and that's going to be bad bearings in your CSB. So we'll be sure to get to that as well. Up here in the front, kind of just see a few tired control arms and suspension components. One of these had, this one's got a nice torn boot on the sway link there, so we'll take care of that. And then he's got the surprise drift mode, which many of us don't like. So that ended up being a wheel speed sensor. I forget which one it is, but we'll be replacing that, which should get rid of those lights on the dash. Let's make some interior improvements. So I just got done installing the new handle and the new tray in the center console. I did clean up the leather. There's quite a bit of wear right here from elbow wear, and the owner's a surfer, so I imagine there might be some sea spray in there. But we got it cleaned up. Smells really good now with the Swiss Vax. The shifter and driveline rebuild is largely done. We just got the drive shaft reinstalled. This is the 545i short shifter. We just got that in there, and I've been very excited to put this guy on because our old one here, well, let's say it's a really nice improvement. So much better. And because I know someone noticed, yes, we've replaced the cup holders as well with the Phoebes. Okay, the last part of the interior refurbishing here, outside of cleaning, is that, which might need a little bit more. There we go. Much better. A little bit of log narration here. So the circlip is on this side, and all you need for the circlip, I cheated a little bit. I had some circlip pliers that I can stick in there and just start to pry it apart. Circlip looks like that, so I stuck the pliers in there, pried it open a little bit, and then used a really small flathead screwdriver to catch it in there and then just pry it out. It takes about 20 seconds to get that clip off. And we're just counter holding the back of it. So we use this big piece as the cup that's going to hold, kind of accept the old bushing as it's pushed out. That black piece acts as a pusher, and then the silver piece with the red goop on it is literally just a spacer right now. And the job will alternate. When we press the new one in, then the silver piece is going to be our pusher, and the piece that's going into the bore right now will become our spacer. Now with the swing arms out of here, it is, what, a minute? 2 minutes? There it is.
Yep. There she goes. Using a little bit of WD-40 as an installation lubricant, but it really doesn't take that much torque.
So as I mentioned before, now our black piece is a spacer, the silver piece is pushing the ball joint in. We have our short, the threaded rod is not all the way threaded, so we have the short end of the threads over here, and this is just holding the accepting cup on there. And you'll know when it's in because there's a flange on that, and it'll just get real hard to turn the bottom out. Don't force it, damage the threads on the tool. And that's when it's home, and then we're just going to put our new C-clamp or circlip rather on the back end of it. Okay, the next day is a big one here. We're doing filters. We discovered the engine air filters. What were these, Mike? 2008? I want to say. So that's a build stamp there. 12 of 08. See if you can pry that open a little bit here on. Wow. Nice.
Take.
Yeah, so both engine filters. Cabin boxes are a little dirty. We're going to take those out, clean those up. You always want to make sure you clean out your vent tube over here. That'll get plugged up and not drain water. We've got another one over here that drains into the fender, so that's got to be cleaned out. And then I've talked in previous videos about how to correctly route the sandwich here, so the cowl needs to sit on top of the cabin box. Big progress today, guys. The Hellas finally showed up from Europe. Take a peek at that. Built in December 2021. It is January 2022 right now. You're not going to get much more fresh than that. New light housings, new bulbs, reuse the ballasts. Everything else is new. So now with those in, we're putting back together the air boxes. We washed everything out in the sink a few weeks ago when we took this apart. These were pretty dirty. Same thing with the cabin boxes up there. We got the windshield cowl in. Wipers are back. He's chosen to kind of omit the firewall trims for now just due to their cost. But fresh filters in there. They were grubby, so we've got the Mon or Mpi filters in there. We're about to put some fresh Hengst engine air filters in, and then we'll get the engine bay back together. Well, welcome back. It is now March 10th. This car's been here quite a while. It is the end of a Thursday right now, approaching 9 p.m. So excuse me if I'm a little rambly or foggy here at the end of the day. We're going on, 14 hours or so. So the 01 Silverstone is just about complete. And when I say just about, I mean we're waiting on one thing, and it's the master keys. We sent them out for repair a few weeks ago, and the guy's backed up and shipping sucks. So we're using a valet key and a wallet key to move the car around. The customer wants the car back for the weekend, and understandably so. So we're going to let him take the car, but everything's done. It got cleaned up today, a little bit of tire shine. We went through our final checks. That includes tire pressure and wheel torque and fluids and kind of just a general inspection once again to make sure everything went right and there's no loose ends anywhere. This car has come a long way. It's been a big investment in our time and his credit score, I'm sure. We'll take a quick peek over here at the invoice. It's not the final invoice yet. I have covered up some personal information, but here's an E39Source invoice. This one's technically still an estimate, but this boy goes up to 17 pages. Wow, look at that. It is rewarding to take a car like this that, you know, had a little bit of deferred maintenance and some neglect here and there, and just totally turn it around mechanically and cosmetically. Only a few deferred items, and He's going to take some, I think, take the opportunity to do some paint work where it's a little faded. We can see some spots on the hood, and certainly the driver's seat still needs attention. But boy, we did almost everything on this car. And I don't have the opportunity to get it on a lift here this evening, unfortunately. We've already packed up for the day and everything's in its resting spot. But the wheels came back. This is the best set we've gotten. They're all very good, but these are just, I mean, should I say flawless? Mine are pretty fresh and original still, original genuine finish. These are an identical match. They've nailed this paint finish. So the Style 65 refinish is a service we're very proud to offer here. Look at these things, just flawless. Absolutely fantastic. The AGA tools, what do we call those little hinges for the sunshade, worked absolutely perfectly. I'll hop in and give you a demo. On the way in, we see some beautiful new E39 floor mats and a little bit of pine tree debris that I'll clean up before the customer takes the car. Steering wheel and the rest of the car, I think, is going to be detailed on his watch. We already talked about the shifter and the center console improvements here. I think we need position 2 for that, huh? Let's flip the camera around. We'll get a nice look at proper factory operation of the rear sunshade. That wasn't working at all before. As I said, the cloth or the material, the fabric part was no longer attached to the arms. So nice solution there, a lot cheaper than the genuine parts. We did a pretty thorough job on cleaning up the engine bay and really just the engine in general. We did all the filters, all the fluids on this car. We did plugs. I believe we did a thermostat on this guy as well. Obviously didn't get to that expansion tank this time around, but this was pretty grubby when it first came in. Obviously hadn't had a nice wipe down in quite a while, so we brought it a long way. We did the rear right wheel speed sensor per the codes in the module. Unfortunately, that did not fix our trifecta, so the module went out for a rebuild. A couple days later, we get it back. No more problems there, no more code stored, so that's the way to go. I'm seeing most of these original modules are just not making it anymore. We already talked about the headlights, we talked about the grills, we talked about the rondelle. Lots of improvements. Minus the flywheel and clutch kit, which don't need attention at this time, we've essentially rebuilt the entire driveline on this car. We dropped the exhaust, dropped the heat shields, the drive shaft, rebuilt the drive shaft. We had a good flex disc. That's the second time I've done that now, huh? We had a good flex disc. We did the center support bearing. I think we did the CV joint as well. Of course, the gasket in between that and the diff input flange. We did the differential bushings. We put the egg up front. We did the rear guide links. Wishbones were already good on this car. We did the exhaust mounts, trans mounts, engine mounts. Steering lines had recently been done, so we didn't need any attention there. Pretty decent cleaning in and out. Something I love to show off when we do these. Take a look underneath at our brand new perfect pork chops. Those are genuine BMW front lower fender liners installed with all new hardware and fastening equipment. The engine belly pan itself is brand new, not a scuff, not a scrape in it. Every single fastener is aligned and in use, and proper genuine BMW. The transmission pan was already intact, so we reused that, but everything else under there is new and fresh. And you know those corrugated aluminum brake duct cooler channels, those things, every M5 I seem to get in here has those things just crushed, and the brackets are crushed up. If people drive over parking pylons, I don't know. But we take all the hardware off, straighten out the brackets, then put a nice 90-degree bend back in it. New clips. That way the belly pan comes off and on and off is designed in, you know, about 30 seconds with those quarter-turn quick-release screws. We've got a brand new cowl, if you can see down there. That was all cracked up and it faded to gray. So nice and fresh there now. Also on the driveline, of course, we rebuilt the entire shifter carrier assembly. And this is something I see in all of these cars. When they come in here, if you put it in first gear, the shifter's moving several inches in every direction. You can stir this thing like a big pot of soup. And with fresh bushings, this is all the movement we have side to side and forwards to backwards. That's it in any gear. Of course, it's going to move a little bit, but that is a fraction of what it was moving before. This is the 545i short shift lever we talked about. Nice, crisp, shorter shifts. It is a touch notchier. You're removing some of the mechanical advantage and leverage of being able to more smoothly or more easily operate the shifter, but this is definitely more of an event. I've gotten very used to the shifter and grossly prefer it over anything else. We had another issue that came to our attention a little later. Some of the speakers in the car were intermittent at best. I'm just going to say many of them were not working. They were completely blown out. I don't know what the story is there, but we ended up having to replace both of these rear. This is DSP, not M Audio, right? Am I wrong? No, it's DSP. M Audio would have the two subs there. So we had to replace both of those with used units we had here in house. And then I think we had this door open. I think we had to do a regulator over here. All these cars start to run together. That's why I review work orders 20 times a day. But sunshades all work, resealed the vapor barrier, window regulator back here. And I think we may have popped a new tweeter in that. Fun fact, the M Audios don't have tweeters there. They're built into the center of the rear shelf speaker. So we had a completely inoperable windshield washer system, and that turned out to just be a bad pump and a clogged screen. So that means wheel comes off, fender liner and the wheelhouse comes off. That gives us a nice clear view to our washer pump, which is right behind the fender here, and the reservoir. So we cleaned all that out, put fresh BMW fluid in there, and the fluid that they use has a mold prohibitor in it. And if you're like me and you run your windshield washers about once a year just to make sure they still work, because everything on the car has to work. If I use it or not, I don't care, it has to work. So once a year, you know, it's going to take me 10 years to go through even half of the reservoir. It's fairly large. I think it's about, it might be 6 liters or 5 liters or something like that. So when the fluid stays in there too long, it can coagulate, and then you start to get organisms breeding in there. It clogs up the screen, then you go to run the pump and it doesn't work. So we're happy to say we've got that system back online. And finally, we found out that the car had a 2016 dated battery, which puts it at just about 6 years now. Time for an upgrade. We drove the car a little bit, enough to certainly charge the battery, and then parked it for about 15 minutes. And then we got our old tick at 10.5 volts or so. So put a new AGM battery, 110 amp hour in there. That was the last thing. Customer will pick up the car tomorrow. As I said, it's already gone through the checks. I just kind of wanted the opportunity to show you guys a before, a little bit of a during, and then an after. Of course, we had it aligned. We've thoroughly road tested the car, and it's just a pretty dramatic difference from how it rolled in here to how it will be driven out of here. And the owner did request that we not replace the badge. He wants it to show some patina. So pretty cool. The Road Warrior M5 has been renewed and should be easily ready for another 130,000 miles of service. That's going to conclude this video. Thank you guys for watching. And I am trying to make more content. It just comes down to time. With all of these customer cars in here, more on the way. We got rid of one today. I mean, we got one stored at the house. It's just pretty crazy. We are packed in here. So thank you so much for watching. We'll talk in the future, and hopefully soon upcoming E39 Source video. Take care.